Welcome back to Dark Love Psychology. Emotional dependency doesn't start with weakness. It doesn't begin with a flaw in your character or a failure of your will. In fact, its origins are often disguised as something incredibly positive, something every human being seeks. It starts with connection, a powerful, intoxicating connection that makes you feel seen, understood, and validated. It's the feeling of finding someone who seems to complete a part of you that you didn't even know was missing. This initial bond feels like a source of strength, a partnership that elevates you. But within this profound connection, the seeds of dependency can be sown, often without any awareness. Most men don't realize they're becoming emotionally dependent until they feel anxious, reactive, or afraid of losing someone. The shift is subtle. It begins when her validation becomes your primary source of self-worth. You might find yourself constantly checking your phone, waiting for a text, your mood for the entire day hinging on her response. Or perhaps you start avoiding disagreements, sacrificing your own opinions or needs just to maintain the peace and ensure she remains happy with you. These aren't signs of a healthy partnership. They are the early warning signs of a compromised frame. The anxiety isn't just about losing a person, it's about losing your emotional anchor. Today, we're going to break down how emotional dependency is created, why it works psychologically, and how men unknowingly fall into it. We will explore the neurological pathways that make this dependency so powerful, touching on concepts like dopamine feedback loops and the outsourcing of emotional regulation. You will learn to recognize the specific behaviors and thought patterns that lead you down this path, turning a source of connection into a source of control. This isn't about abstract theory. It's about giving you a practical map of the psychological terrain you're navigating. It is crucial to state up front. This video is not about blaming women. It is not about labeling partners as manipulative or relationships as toxic. The dynamics we will discuss are often unconscious for both people involved. A woman may naturally provide a level of emotional support that feels good to her, without any intention of creating dependency. The focus here is not on assigning blame, but on fostering awareness and empowering you with self-sufficiency. It's about understanding emotional dynamics, so you don't lose your frame. It's about building an internal foundation so strong that no single person can become your entire emotional world. By the end of this video, you will have the clarity to see these patterns in your own life and the tools to reclaim your emotional sovereignty, ensuring your relationships are built on a foundation of mutual respect and interdependence, not neediness. Chapter 1. Emotional dependency is built slowly. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process, almost invisible at first, like a seed taking root in the dark. It begins not with a grand gesture, but with a quiet, unassuming series of interactions that slowly rewire a man's emotional landscape. This subtlety is what makes it so powerful and often so difficult to recognize until it's deeply entrenched. It begins with three critical ingredients: emotional openness, validation, and the profound feeling of being understood. For a man who is not used to sharing his vulnerabilities, finding someone who offers a safe space for his thoughts is a powerful experience. He starts associating all his emotional relief with this one specific woman. His brain begins to form a powerful connection. Her presence equals peace. Her absence equals a return to that internal chaos. Let's look at an example. After a stressful day at work, he calls her. He doesn't just recount the events, he shares his frustration, his self-doubt. She listens deeply, without judgment or trying to fix it. She simply reassures him, saying, "That sounds incredibly difficult. It makes sense you'd feel that way." In that moment, he feels emotionally safe. This pattern repeats. He has a conflict with a family member, and she is the first person he turns to for perspective. He faces a personal failure, and her validation becomes the only thing that restores his confidence. Over time, he begins relying on her presence not just for comfort, but to feel stable and whole. Her validation becomes his primary source of self-worth. This dependency isn't a conscious choice. It's a learned response, reinforced with every interaction. That's the foundation. And from this foundation, the entire structure of emotional dependency is built. Chapter 2. Emotional highs and lows create attachment. It's a common misconception that consistent affection is what builds the strongest bonds. While stability is the foundation of a healthy, secure relationship, the initial, powerful phase of attachment often forms under very different conditions. The brain, in its quest for stimulation and reward, bonds most intensely through contrast, not simple consistency. It's wired to notice change. A steady state, even a pleasant one, can become background noise. But a sudden shift from warmth to cold? That triggers an alert. This neurological response is a holdover from our survival instincts, where noticing sudden changes in our environment was critical. In relationships, this same mechanism can be inadvertently or intentionally exploited. When affection is intense, full of validation and connection, then suddenly reduced or withdrawn, the brain reacts with alarm. This pattern is known in psychology as intermittent reinforcement. Think of a slot machine. It's the unpredictable nature of the payout that keeps a person pulling the lever far more effectively than if it paid out every single time. The possibility of a reward, combined with the uncertainty of when it will arrive, is a potent formula for compulsion. In relationships, the reward is emotional closeness. When it becomes unpredictable, the brain's reward system goes into overdrive. This emotional roller coaster reliably creates a powerful trifecta of neurological and psychological states. First, anxiety. The uncertainty of not knowing where you stand creates a low-grade, persistent stress. You start questioning yourself and the relationship, searching for what you did wrong to cause the shift. Second, dopamine spikes. When the affection finally returns, the relief and pleasure are immense. Your brain releases a flood of dopamine, the feel-good neurotransmitter. This isn't just a return to baseline, it's a euphoric high, reinforcing the idea that this person is the source of your happiness. And third, emotional fixation. The cycle of anxiety and relief makes you fixate on the person causing these feelings. They occupy your thoughts, and you become hyper-focused on winning back their approval to get your next dopamine hit. Let's look at a classic example. She's warm and incredibly close one day, sending loving texts and making future plans. Then, the next day, she's distant. Her replies are short, and she seems preoccupied. The man, confused by the sudden shift, starts overthinking. He replays their last conversation, analyzes her every word, and begins chasing that feeling of emotional clarity and closeness he briefly had. He might send more texts or call, trying to close the distance she created. This is the moment the hook sets. Dependency begins when your emotional state feels unpredictable and is dictated by someone else's actions. You are no longer in control of your own feelings. You are waiting for them to be granted back to you. This cycle of highs and lows is often mistaken for intense passion, but it's actually the mechanics of addiction taking root in the brain's most vulnerable pathways. Chapter 3. Validation becomes a reward. When validation is inconsistent, it becomes valuable. Compliments, affection, and approval start feeling like rewards. Example: when she's happy, he feels confident. When she's cold, he feels insecure. His emotional state becomes tied to her reactions. That's emotional dependency. Chapter 4. Emotional withdrawal as control. Emotional withdrawal is one of the strongest dependency triggers. Silence, distance, or coldness creates emotional pressure. Example: she stops responding the same way. The man apologizes or changes behavior, even without knowing why. Control isn't forced, it's emotionally negotiated. Chapter 5. Why this works on men. Men are wired to fix emotional discomfort, restore harmony, protect emotional bonds. When a woman becomes the source of emotional stability, dependency forms. Example: instead of maintaining multiple sources of fulfillment, the man centers his emotional world around one person. That imbalance creates vulnerability. Chapter 6. Dependency versus healthy attachment. Healthy attachment allows independence. Dependency removes it. Healthy: I enjoy her presence. Dependency: I need her emotional approval to feel okay. Knowing the difference protects your identity. Chapter 7. How men lose their frame. Men lose their frame when they overinvest emotionally, seek constant reassurance, react to emotional shifts, abandon boundaries. Example: instead of staying grounded, the man becomes reactive to her moods. That's when attraction fades. Women don't create emotional dependency alone. Men participate by giving emotional control away. Stay grounded. Build emotional independence. Connection should add to your life, not replace it. If you want more psychology-based insights like this, subscribe and watch the next video. Thanks for watching until the end. See you in the next video.